Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're diving headfirst into the world of currency baskets.
Okay.
I used to think the global economy was this big, mysterious machine, but this FxUnicorn Fintech research really breaks it down.
Yeah.
We're talking what they are, why they matter, and maybe even how to use them to our advantage.
It's a fascinating area of finance, that's for sure. It's like having a diversified portfolio, but instead of stocks and bonds, we're talking about currencies from around the globe.
Okay, so currency baskets.
Yeah.
For those of us who don't speak fluent finance, what are we talking about here?
Imagine this. You've got your money, but instead of keeping it all in dollars, you decide to spread it out. Some dollars, some euros, some yen. You're creating a mix. That's a currency basket in a nutshell.
So it's about spreading your risk, kind of like diversifying your investments.
Yeah, exactly. Just like you wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. You wouldn't want to put all your faith in a single currency, especially in today's interconnected world where, let's be honest, things can change on a dime.
Right. 1 minute a currency is up, the next it's down. So why would someone trade a whole basket instead of, say, just picking and choosing individual currencies they think will do well? That seems way more complicated.
You'd be surprised. Think of it like this. You're interested in international stocks, right? You could spend all your time researching individual companies in different countries, or you could invest in a globally diversified fund. Currency baskets offer that same kind of simplicity, but with currencies instead of stocks.
So less about picking winners and losers, and more about a strategic approach to riding the global wave, so to speak.
Exactly. And speaking of strategic, this FxUnicorn research actually dives into the US dollar and its performance against a basket of other major currencies like the euro, the British pound, and the Japanese yen. They even have this really interesting chart that shows the trends over time.
They call it the G7 example, right?
Right.
I was looking at that earlier. It's kind of mesmerizing seeing how those currencies move in relation to each other.
The G7 example is a classic. It highlights how analyzing a currency's performance against a basket of others can be really informative, especially for making trading decisions. The G7, or Group of Seven, represents some of the world's most influential economies, so how their currencies perform can often give us a glimpse into larger global trends.
Okay, so we're starting to see the why behind currency baskets.
Hmm.
But let's get real. There have got to be challenges.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing in finance is ever that simple.
Yeah.
You said it. And this FxUnicorn research doesn't shy away from the complexities. It lays out the potential benefits, but also gets real about the risks.
It's like anything else in finance. There are always two sides to the coin. And when it comes to currency baskets, volatility is a big one. Currencies can swing up or down quickly based on all sorts of economic and political factors. Now, for anyone newer to this world, volatility just means how much a currency's price jumps around. Big swings up or down can mean a wilder ride.
That makes sense. And it's not like we can just look at the price of one currency in isolation, right?
Yeah.
Like you were saying with the G7 example, it's about understanding the bigger picture and all the factors at play.
You've hit the nail on the head. This research really emphasizes that point. It's not enough to just look at the numbers on a chart. We need to understand what's happening behind the scenes in each of those countries. Interest rates, trade deals, even political stability can all impact currency values. For example, remember a few years back when that emerging market, let's call it Country X, had that sudden political shift? Their currency plummeted against the basket, and anyone heavily invested in that basket felt the impact.
It's like each currency has its own story, its own domino effect waiting to happen. So if we're building a currency basket, it's not just about throwing darts at a map. It's about strategic selection and understanding those underlying currents, right?
Exactly. That's where the deep dive really comes in. This research dives into some specific trading strategies for currency baskets that I found really insightful.
And they go beyond the usual buy and hold approach, which I'll admit is about as exciting as watching paint dry.
Right. They talk about things like trend following and mean reversion, which are much more dynamic and, let's be honest, way more interesting.
Okay, so break those down for me. What are trend following and mean reversion? And more importantly, how can we use them to potentially level up our currency basket game?
Imagine you're a surfer, right? Trend following is like catching a wave. You want to ride that wave for as long as you can before it crests and breaks. In currency trading, it's about identifying a currency that's on an upswing and riding that momentum. But just like surfing, it requires you to be alert, adaptable, and ready to jump off when the time is right.
Okay, I'm getting FOMO just thinking about missing that perfect wave. Yeah. So what about mean reversion? Is that more like waiting for the tide to turn?
It's a different kind of strategy altogether. Think of a pendulum swinging back and forth. It might swing high in one direction or the other, but it always returns to the center eventually. Mean reversion is about recognizing when a currency has swung too far in one direction, maybe it's overbought or oversold, and betting on that correction back to a more normal level.
So trend following is about riding the wave, and mean reversion is about timing your entry and exit based on those swings back to equilibrium. It sounds like both strategies have the potential to be profitable, but they require very different approaches.
Exactly. And the research emphasizes that neither strategy is inherently better than the other. It all comes down to your risk tolerance, your investment goals, and how actively you want to manage your portfolio. Some people thrive on the adrenaline rush of trend following, while others prefer the more measured approach of mean reversion. It's all about finding what works best for you.
This is reminding me of that old saying, it's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. But in this case with currency baskets, it seems like a bit of both could be a recipe for success.
That's an interesting point, and it speaks to the importance of diversification even within your trading strategies. You might find that a combination of trend following and mean reversion applied strategically can lead to a more balanced and potentially less risky approach overall.
I love that. It's like diversifying your diversification. Okay, so we've covered the what of currency baskets, the why they matter, and even dipped our toes into the how with these different trading strategies. But I have to ask, what does this research say about the who? Who are currency baskets right for? Is this something any investor should consider?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And
Yeah.
like most things in finance, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. This research doesn't necessarily advocate for currency baskets for everyone. It really emphasizes that it depends on your individual risk tolerance, your investment goals, and your understanding of the global market.
So it's not something to just jump into blindly. You really need to do your homework, understand the dynamics we've been talking about, and make sure it aligns with your own personal investment strategy.
Precisely. It's like anything else, knowledge is power. The more you understand about currency baskets, the better equipped you'll be to decide if they have a place in your portfolio.
This deep dive has honestly been eye-opening. I feel like we've gone from 0 to 60 on currency baskets, and I'm already itching to learn more. Any final words of wisdom from the research that we can leave our listeners with?
It's been a pleasure exploring these concepts with you. One thing that really stood out to me in this research was the emphasis on staying informed. The world of finance is constantly evolving, and that's especially true in the fast-paced world of currency trading. So whether you're a seasoned trader or just starting to explore currency baskets, never underestimate the power of research analysis and staying ahead of the curve.
Music to my ears. And speaking of staying ahead of the curve, here's something for everyone to ponder as you continue your own exploration. This research focused on traditional currencies, but we're living in a time where digital currencies are gaining traction. Could we see a future where digital assets become part of the currency basket mix? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and as always, happy investing.